We just spoke about the medical issues from the COVID outbreak. In this block, we'll discuss the financial fallout and the consequences. Tens of millions of Americans out of work, and that is causing something we haven't seen in this country for several decades: massive food lines. In fact, a recent survey shows that nearly 1 in 5 mothers asked said their children are not getting enough to eat. Food banks and other groups that help the needy, they've been lobbying Congress to increase food stamps until the crisis is over. But to this point, it's become a partisan issue and Republicans are not budging. To make matters worse, they're actually trying to make cuts to the program. I want to bring in our guest, Radha Muthiah. She is president and CEO of the Capital Area Food Bank. Thank you, for giving us a few minutes. Before we even get into the money issues that are coming out of Washington or the lack thereof, put a face, give us before pandemic and now just how much demand there is on food banks in your area, and how there's been a changing face also of the type of people that are coming to your doors looking for help.
Sure. No, thanks for having me on. The Capital Area Food Bank, pre-pandemic, provided food to about 400,000 food insecure individuals in the greater Washington area. And these individuals span from those who are, young age, school age children to seniors and many working families in the middle there. And the food needs here of the food insecure cut across every single zip code in our area. So it's not to say that there's a prevalence in one area versus another. They're food insecure in every single area of our region. Now, with the pandemic hitting, say early March or so, we have seen a tremendous increase in the number of individuals who are coming to our partners for food. In some cases, it's about a 30% increase. In other cases, it's about a 400% increase. So you get the sense of the tremendous variation here across the region. We are seeing that it's not only those who have traditionally needed food from the Food Assistance Network, but quite a few of the individuals who are coming now have never had to ask or seek food assistance before. We have something called a hunger lifeline. It's a phone number that people call as they want to determine where they go to be able to find food sources closest to their home. And we've seen about a 300% increase in the number of calls coming into that lifeline. Over the last couple of months, many of them are saying that they've never had to get food assistance before. They've in fact may have volunteered with us before, or even provided small checks to us in the past to support others in need. So there's certainly both, a changing face in terms of who needs this food, in addition to those who have traditionally counted on our network and continue to in this current pandemic environment.
And I know this isn't a surprise to you, but for a lot of the population, we never really realized until the pandemic just how much so many kids relied on schools, and families relied on the schools to feed the kids. And when the schools shut down, that even further, made a bad situation worse. But you would think, or I would think, logically, one of the most efficient programs we have in this country are food stamps and SNAP. Directly, every dollar you put in, it's going right to buy necessary food, and there's even restrictions to it. For the life of me, Rod, I don't get how anyone would be opposed at a time of a pandemic and a recession to not, let alone expand that program, to even consider cutting it. It's crazy. It really is a program that works. Take the politics out of it, right?
It's been a proven tool, correct. SNAP or food stamps have been proven to work over the years, and so there's no question about that. Just for your viewers to know, those who receive food stamps, you can receive it as a senior. You get a certain allocation. If you're a family, depending on the size of your family, you get a different allocation. People receive it at different points, usually towards the beginning of the month, and usually they can count on food stamps to cover about half, of the food needs over the course of a month. And then most people are working, and so they've got some additional savings from their income that they can use towards purchasing more food to help tie them over for the month. And then usually it's about 3 to 5 days worth of food that they come to the Food Assistance Network, so the food bank and its partners, to be able to provide. That's typically how a family that is a working family but not making enough money to cover all of their food needs would count on SNAP their own income, and then support from the food bank. Now, it is a proven tool, and what we and other food banks and food advocacy groups are asking for is about a 15% increase to SNAP. And to put that in perspective, for a family of four, that would mean getting just about $100 more per month to be able to address their food needs. So depending on where you live in the country, that can be anywhere from 30 to 50 or so meals that you can get as a result of that $100 more per month. So that is what we're advocating for, and we're advocating for that to be in place throughout the pandemic and the resulting economic downturn. You started this segment by talking about the numbers of people who are out of work. In our region, in the greater Washington area, we have seen over 400,000 new unemployment claims just in the last 3 months. That's a huge number of individuals who are now out of work. And SNAP is a very effective program that the federal government can utilize to be able to help meet the food needs for those who now are out of work and are certainly struggling to be able to put food on the table.
Radha, if you don't get help from the federal government and get it soon, and an expansion, as we said, of all the programs that are working, are you going to have to start turning people away that need food?
So it's a good question that you asked. Let me put it in perspective. For every meal that we provide as a food bank, SNAP can provide 9. So there's no question, again, how important SNAP is, just in terms of the scale and magnitude of the effect that it can have. Now, if there isn't that 15% increase, we're certainly going to continue to see the demand that we're seeing today. And there's a question as to how sustainable this is for us to be able to continue to meet that need. And I would argue it isn't. We do this in partnership with the federal government, and they have an incredibly important role to play. We will continue to do everything that we can. It just makes our jobs that much harder if we are going to have to compensate for the role that the federal government can effectively perform in a much better way than we as food banks could.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. It certainly sounds like you guys need it right now, given how critical a function you perform. Let's hope Washington does the right thing. Thank you so much for a few minutes.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, when we come back, the president's latest conspiracy theory, and believe it or not, it involves an elderly man pushed over by the cops in Buffalo, all caught on tape.